All right, we are live. Welcome to another episode of Love and Money Secrets TV. We are going to continue on with chapter 4 of the Mitochondriac Manifesto by R.D. Lee. And so let's move on. So it says here, what runs our biological programming? Intriguing question, isn't it? All right. So it says the eye is much more than a camera. Boy, I've been talking about that ad nauseum for a very long time. So let's see what RD has to say in his book. I'm sure it's in alignment with what Dr. Jack Kruse talks about, which both RD and I share the same mentor. We all know the eye is a camera through which we see the world around us, but it has another job that's at least as important, if not more. Totally agree with that. The eye's function we were never told about is it senses which individual frequencies of light are in the mixture of full spectrum sunlight we see, and it uses that information to regulate almost every biological program and process inside us, including energy production, stress levels, sleep cycles, digestion, and repair processes. So that's right. The eye is designed to, number one, it says here, decipher exactly how much of each wavelength of the electromagnetic spectrum is present in sunlight, including invisible frequencies, ultraviolet and infrared. Number two, tell the brain what time of day it actually is, and based on the presence or absence of colors in sunlight. Number three, regulate daily and seasonal cycles, growth, metabolism, and regeneration accordingly. So it says here, and fundamentally important to mitochondriacs, the eye controls these biological processes photoelectrically. That means photoreceptors, light-sensitive biochemicals, in the eye collect light and turn the mixture of frequencies into electrical signals that the brain understands to be a certain time of day at a certain time of year. For instance, one blend of light frequencies, after it's deciphered, tells the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN, in the brain, it's high noon in the middle of summer. Biological programming built into the brain then makes the necessary adjustments to sleep and your wake cycles, weight loss, weight gain, detoxification, and more. So peculiar as it may seem, the programming that runs daily and seasonal cycles all starts in the eye and gets converted into electrical impulses that run the body. So before we go on to the next page, to page 36 here, I want to kind of make a commentary about this because most people don't think about the eye as a circadian rhythm clock. He doesn't call it a circadian rhythm clock here, but he's talking about how the eye is much more than a camera and how it regulates and it syncs and it brings in balance the different infrared light and near infrared and the different wavelengths of light that then affect every single system of the body. So everything, because of the photoreceptors that are in the eye, you have basically a biochemical process that takes place because your eye can determine what time of day it is and what wavelength of light gets transported inside your body that then starts another chemical reaction, not limited to creating nutrients in your body, which I'm sure he's going to get into next, and so forth. So it affects our awake and sleeping cycles. It affects our weight gain, our weight loss. It affects everything biochemically inside the body. Okay, we're going to move on to page 35. And it says, in fact, if you think about it, the process of converting light into an electrical impulse is similar to the way a condenser microphone converts sound waves from a singer's voice into an electrical signal using a diaphragm. Loudspeakers then reverse the process. They convert electrical impulses back into sound. So you got to think about the five senses of the body. We have the eyes that interprets vibrational frequencies of the light spectrum. And those same light spectrums have a sound frequency associated with those color spectrums that then the vibrational tool that we use to interpret that then is the ears, because the sound wave frequencies of the same corresponding light spectrum that includes light and different shades of color, then your eyes are the vibrational tool that interpret that from the seeing senses, which has a biochemical response to the body. And then the corresponding sound frequency is interpreted by the ear. The ear then receives those sound frequencies, and that has a biochemical interaction in the body. And then, of course, there's the taste and the smell, and then the actual feeling frequencies that all have biochemical processes that are attached to it. And they are all working in concert with each other to run your entire body inside and out. It's a beautiful symphony if you think about it. So we're going to move on to the next section for those of you who are following in your books. And if you don't have the book, I encourage you to get the book. And I think that after this book, we'll probably go on to read Robert de Becker's The Body Electric, because there are portions of this book that reference that book. And it's an incredible book that Dr. Robert de Becker, who Jack Kruse quotes all the time, a lot of big time, not only scientists, but doctors and physicians and surgeons also quote his work, because his work in photobiomodulation it was groundbreaking when he first discovered the information that he put in there, as well as the work of John Ott, which we won't talk about today because we want to keep focused on this. So the next section is here, how the brain loses control of organs and systems, often misdiagnosed as hormone imbalance. So it says here, circadian. So I want to bring your attention also to the word circadian, because we hear circadian, and sometimes there's certain words in our vocabulary that we just hear chicken and we just kind of lump it all into one thing, not really thinking about what that actual word means. So circadian comes from the word circle. That's implying that there is a cycle, because anything that is circular, or from having the nature of a circle, that means that it's circular. That means that it's repeating over and over and over again. And we have many systems in the body that are circadian. They have a cyclical, circadian, repetitive, beginning to end, a series of events that take place in a 24-hour time frame, and then that repeat over and over and over again in order to run our bodies, okay? So circadian and infraradian. That infraradian means infrared radius, again, that radiation, that it's radiating out because of the circular nature of that thing. So circadian and infraradian rhythms, daily and seasonal cycles, respectively, in the body are controlled by a tiny region of the brain where the optic nerve crosses and lead into the brain. So what's cool about the optic nerve in the back of the eye, if you look at you have your suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is in the very back, behind both eyes, and you have your optic nerve, which is behind each one of your eyes. Your optic nerve is a little piece of your brain that's not inside your skull. It's actually outside of your skull, but it's a piece of your brain. It's directly connected in the brain, but it's outside of the skull per se, and it's in the back of your eye. And then the right optic nerve, it crosses over your pineal gland and it goes over to your left brain. And then the left eye, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, you have your optic nerve that crosses over. And so it literally forms an X right over your pineal gland, which is really fascinating. There's a reason for that being that particular way, which we'll get into. If we have time, we'll get into it today. Otherwise, we'll get into it in the next video. So it talks about here how so in the body are controlled by the tiny region of the brain where the optic nerve crosses and leads into the brain. About the size of the pea, this suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, pictured on page 168, as it's called, is one of the brain's primary control centers of daily and seasonal cycles. So that suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is in the back of, behind both of your eyes, that is part of, if you will, it's like the mechanism that is resetting and is sensitive to your melatonin and your serotonin cycles and the circadian rhythms of the body. I'm going to go to page 168, I think is what it said here. I want to show you the picture because it's referring to us to page 168. Here it is. So you're going to see the X that I didn't know he was going to do it because I haven't been reading the book in advance to us being here. Can you see that here? Let me stand up here and maybe I can even point this light a little bit more in this direction without it bleaching it out. And when you get your copy of the book, but see how it creates an X? How I showed you, see the two eyeballs, the eyeball. These are the two eyeballs. Then you have the optic nerve in the back part of the eye here. And then you see how it crosses over here, the cross line of you have your left and your right brain hemisphere. The two hemispheres of the brain are two separate organs. We think of the brain as one entire organ, but it's actually the left hemisphere works totally independently from the right hemisphere of the brain, and it doesn't cross over the information. And so here you see how it forms like an X here in the middle. Okay, moving on to the next section. Now let me go back to page 35, 36. 168, so as it's called, is one of the brain's primary control centers of daily and seasonal cycles, as I mentioned before. Most impressive of its duties, the suprachiasmatic nucleus helps control every metabolic. Pause button. Did you hear that? I'm going to read it again because I think it's so important, because people are so concerned with their diet in terms of what they eat, and they're not concerned about their light diet and controlling the light diet. They're light malnourished, not just nutrient malnourished. And when you eat food, you're eating your environment. Food is a barcode for the light environment in which you live, which is why it's so harmful to you to eat man-made processed food, because it's dead food. It has no light. It has no organic matter. You are alive. All your cells are alive. When you eat processed food, it's dead. It's just dead weight. You're not getting any light from it. Nothing organic that it can get nutrients from. Okay, so here we go. It says, most impressive of its duties, the suprachiasmatic nucleus helps control every metabolic, having to do with your metabolism, how you process nutrients, right? And growth program in the body, including the speed of your metabolism via the leptin receptor. Stop. So I'm going to stop right here because I think this is so, leptin is hardly ever spoken about. Dr. Jack speaks ad nauseum about the leptin receptors in your body and about the leptin prescription. And he graduated from med school in 1992. The leptin melanocortical pathways of the body were not even discovered till, I think it was either 1993 or 1995. So it was after he got out of medical school. It's amazing how much information physicians learn after they get out of medical school. And that's all contingent upon, there's a certain amount of continuing education that you need to take, but then there's the onus on you to take the responsibility in your given field to continue studying so that you keep on top of your game, right? So this leptin receptor, and it's in chapter 5, he's going to talk more about this, about leptin. And it says here, number 2, sleep and recycling of mitochondria through melatonin, and 3, fertility through testosterone and estrogen. Unfortunately, the suprachiasmatic nucleus is not working so well in people today. Yeah, because we have all these LED. I don't have all these LED lights. You see a little bit of a red hue on my skin because I actually have red light bulbs above me. These back here, these are not halogen or fluorescent lights. They're warm incandescent bulbs. And above me over here, the 6 bulbs has 4 red and 2 clear. And the 4 red are on now and the 2 clear are not, because it's after sunset. I don't put the clear ones on at night. I put those on only during the day. And then, of course, I've got this bulb over here, which is an incandescent bulb also. So moving on here. Unfortunately, the suprachiasmatic nucleus is not working well for most people today, and all sorts of unexplained disorders show up as a result. So what makes the SCN, suprachiasmatic nucleus, malfunction? Great question. Asking effective questions. There's a timekeeping mechanism in the suprachiasmatic nucleus that coordinates signaling throughout the body. Quantum signaling. You can think of it as a master clock in your brain for your biorhythms, or a timer regulator for tissue-to-tissue communication. Wow, something to think about. You think that maybe that's important? Absolutely. Absolutely. Below that, in location and pecking order, every gene in every mammal has a circadian rhythm clock in front of it through which the suprachiasmatic nucleus controls gene expression. Do you see how important it is that your eyes be exposed to the proper wavelengths of light? Because it's going to control gene expression. That means the upregulation or the downregulation of genes. You think that might be important to your health and well-being, and considering what light bands your eyes are being exposed to? That's why these glasses that you see right now, you see there's a purple hue to these glasses because I have blue light blockers on these glasses, because these screens that I'm on the computer have a blue, I don't want to get blue light toxicity from them. So as I wear blue light blockers, which these have, then this protects my eyes from the blue light toxicity so that I don't have my DHEA, fountain of youth hormone, broken. I don't have a spike in insulin, so I don't have insulin resistance, and a spike in glucose. Those are three big deals that are going to affect my chemistry and create all sorts of dysregulation in the body and inflammation in the body. So that's what this is talking about here. Kind of a big deal if you think about it. So, and then how often do you have your primary care, physician talk to you about your light environment? I would say 99.9% of the time they don't. In fact, in their office, they're under fluorescent lights themselves. Fluorescent, halogen lights. It's 3 types of light: fluorescent, halogen, and LED lights. Most of them are fluorescent. Something to think about, huh? But you can control your own home environment. And so my suggestion to you is switch out your bulbs to incandescent, get infrared light, incandescent bulbs, and clear infrared light incandescent bulbs that are red and clear. I order mine through Amazon. And this is not sponsored by any incandescent bulb company. I'm just telling you what I do. And you can do the same, or you can not. Do whatever you want to do. So you can think of it as a master clock in your brain for your biorhythms, or a timer regulator for tissue-to-tissue communication. Below that, in location and pecking order, every gene in every mammal has a circadian rhythm clock gene in front of it, through which the suprachiasmatic nucleus controls gene expression and biological activity of cells and organs. Incredible. Most important for circadian signaling, the master clock above in the suprachiasmatic nucleus has to run several milliseconds ahead of the clocks that run the genes down below, or else the message to increase or decrease activity of peripheral organs and tissues arrives late. This imperfect timing, I would beg to differ and argue it's not imperfect timing. It's absolutely precise and perfect timing, in my opinion. So this imperfect timing confuses organs and tissues and makes them operate at reduced functionality at best, or perhaps not at all. Think of safe mode in computers, because your body is always going to try and adjust to whatever the environment is. Your body, I always tell people, think of your body. We look at the body as everybody does. You see the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, hands, legs, fingers, toes. We don't even think about it much. But if you were to think, just take a moment, just play make believe that you're closing your eyes and you're visualizing what the inside of your body looks like. And of course, at first, you're going to think about, okay, my eyeballs, my brain, my tongue, my esophagus, my lungs. But think of instead as you having thousands of little vials, little like chemistry lab vials. They're all about the size of your pinky finger. And each one of them has corresponding amounts of liquid. Some of them are 90% filled. Some of them are 15% filled, 3% filled. And you have varying amounts. And in your mind's eye, as you look inside there, you see those vials have every color of the light spectrum of the rainbow that you can think of. There's reds, there's pinks, there's blues, there's orange, there's yellows, there's greens, there's purples, there's violets, teals, every color you could ever possibly imagine. And as you sit quietly, they're adjusting. There's more or less of the liquid adjusting because you're breathing at a certain rate. When you're speaking, it's requiring more energy from you. So there's a greater adjustment taking place while you're speaking. If you're walking, there's another type of adjustment that's being done. No matter what you're doing, that never stops. It never ceases. So every one of those little vials you can picture in your mind's eye, sometimes there's more pink liquid, there's less blue liquid, there's more purple liquid, there's more green liquid, there's more orange liquid. All those vials throughout every square inch of your body are always resetting themselves to balance. It's doing this balancing act to keep you healthy and normal and do whatever's necessary to keep you alive, right? So the next section, we're going to finish up with this section here. It says, Dr. Jack. Dr. Jack draws this analogy to help mitochondriacs grasp the concept. So as GPS satellites, there's 22,000 miles above the Earth, need their atomic clock to run 38 milliseconds faster than the geolocation devices at ground level, or else the GPS app in your smartphone will be off by 10 to 100 kilometers by the time the signal reaches you. Fascinating, isn't it? That's because gravity bends light. Ooh, that's an interesting factor to think about. Gravity bends the light bands through a principle in physics called gravitational lensing, satellite signals included. So the signals from the satellite are also bent. So that's why they have to be 38 milliseconds faster. So in other words, gravity creates an extra 38 milliseconds of lag. So engineers advance the broadcast signals timing to stay perfectly synchronized, not in trajectory, as you would try to hit a moving target with an arrow. If you didn't advance the timing, the master clock above, devices on the ground would get confused by the lag time, much like a concert musician would in receiving directions from their conductor after a delay. Therefore, your master clock has to operate with a little lead time in order for the signal to arrive in time to be executed on schedule. I'm going to pause right here because as a musician, one of the things that I know, there's the speakers that go into the audience. And of course, the sound is, we're singing or playing whatever instrument into a microphone, much like this microphone that I have here right now. And then you have the speakers that are being projected out into an audience, no matter if it's an audience of 100 or 200 or 20 or 30 or 40,000, it doesn't make a difference. Then you have these subwoofer speakers that are special speakers that are pointed directly towards the performers, the singers, and the musicians. Because the way the sound waves travel, if we were to depend on the sound waves that are going out to the audience, because they're projecting outward, there is a lag time. And we want to all be in sync with each other and be in congruence with each other. You have those speakers that are facing us so that we hear immediately because the distance is short. It's like 10, 15 feet away from us. then that sound then travels directly to us and hits us instantly so that we can all keep in sync as we play the music and as we sing and perform. And so this is talking, and it's alluding to that same phenomenon as it relates to GPSs and so forth. So that's important. So it says here, that's important to the physics of life because cells and mitochondria are releasing light all the time, converting it, recapturing it, and storing it. Any synchronous delivery in that process, any leakage of light is energy wasted and communication lost. The point being, biophysical communication in the body happens at the speed of light. I'm going to say that again because that's so important. Point being, biophysical communication in the body happens at the speed of light. Now, this is a new paradigm, not chemicals, old paradigm. And electricity is no exception. Electricity is just a light band, okay? It's a wavelength of light. Electricity is simply light oscillating, rotating at a slower frequency, but still traveling near the speed of light. In summary, when the clock genes in your peripheral organs fall behind the master clock in your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the communication and operation of cells in your liver, in your pancreas, gut, feet, etc., they become uncoupled from each other. They're supposed to be coupled, but they become uncoupled. They separate from each other and lose their coherence. You can see how harmful that's going to be to your body, right? When they fall out of sync, regulatory glands then cannot talk to cells underneath like they need to, and tissues misbehave. Organs disobey important instructions, creating inflammation, which turns into dysfunctions and then disease. Okay, I'm going to stop here. This is on page 37. A lot of information in those 2 pages. When we return, we're going to go to this next section. How is the disconnection happening? You're going to discover that. So my friends and gems, if you haven't gotten this book yet, I don't make a penny off of you buying the Mitochondriac Manifesto, but if you are truly invested in improving your health, I think it would be well worth your while to pick up this book. Learn it, dissect it. You don't have to do it alone because that's what I'm doing here when I come on and we read this together and we have a discussion about it. And I share with you the insights that I'm aware of, and I do my best to language and simplify things into layman's terms so that you can grasp the concepts and then you can effectuate it by taking action steps in your life. Like, for example, starting to replace those LED lights that you have in your home. So I cannot replace the LED lights in my refrigerator. I cannot replace the LED lights in my coffee maker, in my electric hot water pot, in my Ninja, and I don't use my microwave. I use it to store things in there, but I don't actually use my microwave oven for anything other than storage. But I can't replace the LED lights and the clocks and whatever else is in there. My stove, my bread maker, all of them have LED lights. So those are as they are. I can switch out the light bulbs, the LED bulbs that were in there previously, and I can put an incandescent bulb in the fixture, which is what I've done, just as I've done here. Do I mind that I have a red hue on me? No, I don't particularly care. I have those 4 LED, used to be LED lights. They're infrared light bulbs now. They emit a little bit of heat. Not really, it's pretty negligible actually. I have this bulb that kind of balances me out, gives me some more of a spotlight, but it's an incandescent bulb as well. And it's a warmer light, much better than the green light. Any woman who's put their makeup under fluorescent lighting knows how terrible it is to put your makeup because you have a green hue on your skin, right? Well, come to find out, not only is that green hue, it's not accurate for you to put makeup on in that kind of lighting because you've got that green coloring, right? It's better to do it in front of a natural lit window where you have sunlight coming in. A lot of us will take our mirrors and go in front of a window and put our makeup on there instead of using the fluorescent lights, right? Well, you can do a switching out of bulbs in all the primary places of your home where you spend the most time, so that you're not subject to the LED lights and the blue light toxicity that comes from that, and the EMFs that are inherent to electronics. So, all right, my friends and gems, I'm going to let you go. Hope you're having a great one. It's about 20 minutes before the hour. I hope you're enjoying this. If you like these read, review, and applies, because that's what I do. I read, we review, and then we apply the principles in here, and we talk about how you can make use of this information today, not tomorrow, not yesterday. Yesterday's gone. We can't get that back, but we can affect the now. And that's what it's all about. Mitochondriac Manifesto. I love the colors of this book, that blood red and kind of the ancient kind of Indiana Jones kind of a look. All right, my friends and gems, you have a great one. Now, that all being said, you can unring the bell of damage that you have from these environmental factors that we've been discussing through the activation of your original master blueprint, which those agents, when your mother's ovum united with your father's sperm, and you had complete information, you had 23,688 genes, and the little construction workers that built you, formed you into an embryo, those are called stem cells. And by the time you're 30 years old, 50% of them turn off, and they're waiting for you to apply this patch. It's a phototherapy or a photobiomodulation patch, cell activation patch. And that's going to unring the bell of damage, because as I sit here, I have 33% of my previously dormant master pluripotent stem cells from conception. They're back on. So I have the levels of a 20, 30-year-old right now, because for 12 hours every day, I signal that. And I have I have zero pain. I'm over 50 and I don't have any cracking bones anywhere in my body. You know how people are like cracking their bones, wrist, every joint, their neck, their back, their waist. I don't have any of that. And I was hit by a bus just 3 blocks shy of finishing a 17-mile bike ride. And I now have a spongy back, spongy spinal cord. I don't crack. Everything is nice and loose, just like when I was 10, 12, 15 years old. Pretty cool. And you can have that too. And it takes time to turn over all 56 trillion cells of the body. The thing is that without this, you're on the path of things getting infinitely worse. And you can turn the other cheek, and you can now be in a place and a position, because you choose to, just as you choose to invest in food to nourish your body, you can choose to invest in, some people invest in a gym to work out their muscles and do all sorts of things. We invest in all sorts of things for our well-being, right? So I've chosen to spend the equivalent of 2 cups of coffee. If I were to buy, I pay $6.05 for a green matcha latte or a Starbucks coffee. And instead, I can, for the price of 2 of them, I could get complete cellular activation that includes also master antioxidants. Pretty powerful technology. So if you're interested in any of this, if you've had a friend that sent you this link, I want to encourage you. Any of you have friends and family that are in pain. Pain now is a choice. We can turn off pain receptors the same day with these cellular activation patches, scientifically proven to reduce your pain 50 to 100%. I've never had anybody in the United States or Europe that I have placed these patches on that did not experience a 50 to 100% reduction in pain. Not one person, because no one is so special that you don't have cells inside your body and that you don't have those master smart cells that are pluripotent called stem cells. So as soon as you turn the on switch, you put that on your skin, boom. You don't have to believe in it. It's like gravity. Whether you believe in gravity or not, it works. And so if you want to learn more, get back to the person who forwarded that video to you. Or if you're finding me on Facebook or on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, whatever the social media platform is, put a comment below. We can connect. I have office hours every day at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Pacific time. I go on live. I do an info Q&A, answer whatever questions. If you and I are the only 2 people that are on there, I will answer whatever questions. You basically get to have a 30-minute free private session with me. Not a bad deal, isn't it? So that's it. I love you all. If people can hate strangers for no apparent reason, I can love you guys for no apparent reason. Actually, there is an apparent reason. I love you because you are me and I am you. We are all connected. We are all one. Does that make sense? So I love and adore you. Thank you for your time and attention. Share this with somebody that you love and that you care. Do a like. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell so the next time the next video comes up, you're notified. And YouTube also is signaled that you like this content, and it'll push it out to more of your friends and gems. All right? Ciao for now, my friends and gems. Leola, thanks for tuning in live. Ciao for now.